Hi, welcome to the episode of Beyond Chronic Disease. You are stuck with me today, no guests. So my name is Wendy and I am doing a show today on hereditary versus habitual. So what do I mean by that? Well, hereditary, your genetic disposition to chronic disease, or is it your habits that are creating your chronic disease in your body? So there's so much information around now to prove that genetics are very rarely responsible for the main chronic diseases that we have, like coronary heart disease and stroke, diabetes too. These are all, lifestyle changes or lifestyle factors, I should say. And if you were to change your lifestyle, then you wouldn't be predisposed to them. So when I looked at this a long time ago, I even having conversations with the family, and when they start getting a bit older and they talk about their health problems and what they've experienced, and look out for this and watch out for that. It's quite doom and gloom, and I got to thinking that that's fabulous. I've got to look forward to when I get to 60 or 70, and I'm actually 54 now, just saying, that I'm going to get heart disease or stroke or cancer or diabetes or something like that, because all these diseases are in my family, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to settle for getting these diseases. And yes, there's many factors that, other than food, that can create disease in our bodies, but I'm talking about the hereditary or the habitual factors. So I look at it this way: when you're in your family, when you're a child, you've got your parents and your siblings. So typically your parents are cooking your food, or they're supplying all the food for you as a child, and they're only giving you what they know to give you themselves. So, for instance, I grew up with cereal and sandwiches and meat and 3-veg, which is probably a typical diet many years ago, and it still is for most today. And this is what my family were eating as well. And so I got sick. If you've bought my book, which is behind me, and read my story, I got Crohn's when I was in my mid-30s, and it took a little while to get my health back on track. And in all of that, food played an important role in how I regained my health. So I'm looking at the hereditary factors and the habitual factors, and it's very difficult to change your habits. It's difficult when you've been conditioned, I guess, for want of a better word, growing up with, the factors that perhaps have made you unwell over time. But when we're not exposed to the slightest disease or anything until later on in life, we could always say that they're genetic or hereditary, or we could look at what we're actually eating and look at the scientific facts that lifestyle changes and diet can prevent many chronic diseases. So take, for example, the dairy or animal products. There's so much data out there to say that they create disease in your body, most commonly heart disease, because of the saturated fats that they contain. And there is so much overwhelming evidence. And you only have to go and check out, and I'll give these guys a plug, Forks Over Knives, the Esseltons, Dr. Michael Greger, who's from nutritionfacts.org. It's just overwhelming evidence. And it's not just these medical doctors or lay people like me, I guess, that have noticed changes within our own bodies. There's doctors out there that have, and they're medical doctors. I know doctor can be quite a broad term these days, but they're medical doctors that have been trained in the medical field, and they have treated their patients with different diets and lifestyle changes, like given them tips on that, and have reversed chronic disease. So with all this overwhelming evidence, it just makes sense to me that we have to stop blaming hereditary or genetic factors, same, or even our habits, and because they're typically probably stem from how we've grown up, and start looking at what we're actually doing with our diet and lifestyle. So habits can be changed. Genetics can't. Although you can, when I say genetics can't, well, in fact, they can to a degree. And I'm not going to go into that because I haven't got all the science about it. But, you know, there's lots of information about how you can change your DNA as well. And it's evident when you're unwell and you've been in a chronic state of disease for a long time, and then you can create wellness in your body. So that's changing your DNA. So getting back to it, we really need to stop blaming our genes for our chronic diseases, because there's overwhelming evidence that if you change your diet and lifestyle, that many of the chronic diseases, and the number one killer, really, coronary heart disease, and stroke can be prevented by doing so. So if you need more information on that, I mean, yeah, we don't like to Google, but you know, those people that I've mentioned, Google them, check them out. They're a wealth of information. Dr. Greger has, he puts out there all the scientific evidence. He has his little help us go through that and puts out daily articles for you to peruse. And he got, just to stay on him for a minute, he got into this field. He's a plant-based advocate, whole food, plant-based advocate. And he got into that because his grandmother was unwell and she was in a wheelchair, and basically the doctors wheeled her out the door and said, we can't do anything about your health anymore. And she changed her diet and went on to live for, I think it was another 20 years or so. So he was absolutely fascinated by this. And then he went on to study all that he could about diet and lifestyle. So hereditary versus habitual. Well, hereditary, yeah, I said that you can't change your genes, but there you can to a degree. And is, you know, don't think about it too much though. It's overwhelming, the amount of information out there concerning all of this. Habits you can change, but it just takes a little bit of time, one step at a time, I say. And trust me, it can help with reversal of chronic disease. And I know some of you are out there saying, yes, but I've got this disease and there's no cure and there's never been a cure and so forth. And it's, it affects this part of my body and, you had that and that's pretty basic. But I know many people that are suffering with Crohn's disease, but, when I've said that what I've done, they've got it worse than what I had, or, they can't do anything about it. And that's cool. I am only one person, but I'm sure there's many more out there. But I'm just giving you an insight into what I've learned over the last, nearly 20 years of starting off with these diseases and, getting to where I am now. And it's not all just what goes in your mouth or on your body. It's like I said too, it's your lifestyle, because stress is right up there with, the number one killer. It's quite prevalent in our society today, stress and other mental health issues. So it's not just, what you eat, but I'm here to tell you that stop blaming your genes for everything that's going on with you and look outside the square and see what you can change to better your life if you desire. You may choose to be in a state of ill health, and I know that sounds ludicrous, like why would I choose that? Well, I look back at when I was unwell and I didn't feel like I chose it, but I think my body chose it for me with all my thoughts that were going on and things that were happening in my life at the time. After I wrote my book, I looked back on it and saw that there was a lot of psychological issues that were happening at the time when I really got struck down with my don't like to label it as my Crohn's, because it never leaves your body if you do that. But when I got struck down with Crohn's, I had a lot of emotional triggers, and when I look back on it, that was really the time when I was in the most pain. So, like I said, there's more to changing your well-being than what goes in your body or on your body. And if you want more information, I'm actually in the middle of doing a simple guide. It's a spring clean your mind and body. I think that's what it's called. I do a newsletter every month, although this month, well, it's only the second. Last month I got it out on the 17th of August, which was awesome. So I'll be sending that out to the email list. So if you want to be on that email list, just ping me. You'll find me somewhere on chronic disease and beyond, or beyond chronic disease, or just under Wendy Gathercole around, you'll see me.